What's going on, guys? Last video got a great response and we're bringing back another good guy first looks. This time, the Uwell Crown 4. We have the metallic green, stainless steel, and sapphire blue. I mean, these guys have been putting out some decent products. We've had all the crowns, then they kind of forgot about them for a little while. We saw the Valerian come out, we saw the Nunchakus came out. Great tanks, and now they're back on the crown. Hopefully this one's a good one. We're gonna take a closer look at it. I have 3 different colors here today. I don't know if there's gonna be any others available or any other variants, but those are 3 I have today. We're gonna take a look, open them up, see what they look like, vape them, talk about them, try them, vape them again, and then I'll give you guys my opinion on it. Okay, so we got all 3 boxes open. We have the sapphire blue, the metallic green, and the stainless steel. They all look really, really nice. In these boxes, the kit includes a Crown 4 atomizer, the user manual, drip tip cover, 0.4 ohm coil pre-installed, 1 pack of replacement O-rings, 0.2 ohm coil, spare glass tube. That's everything that comes inside the kit. So there's the coil. Very different from their other coils that were generally just looking like every other coil. I don't really know what to compare them to. But it seems as though the base changed a little bit. They stuck with their Nunchaku design for the coils, where there's no threads on the coils to screw onto the base. It's just a simple, you push it in, it's got O-rings on the bottom, and then you close the tank, and most likely the tank attaches to the base itself. Here we have our replacement glass. That is actually where you'll find the drip tip cover, which is inside here. So while you're not using your device, you can pop that onto the drip tip and nothing will get inside, like pocket lint or anything like that. And there's that replacement glass tube. So they look really nice. They actually kind of remind me of a little bit of like the Horizon Tech Falcon, somewhat of a design. Mesh coils are on the way. They're not out yet, but they are on that mesh coil game along with a couple other companies out there producing these tanks. And for now, they give you the SS304 coil to try out. All right, so on first look, nice design. It's a pretty big tank, but it's not super tall. Normally when a company makes like a 6 mil tank or a bigger tank, it ends up being really tall and bulky. This is still kind of nice, sleek design to it. The fill is a nice little change in design there. It's got 4 different holes to fill the juice into. The Nunchakus, which if you guys remember, are these little guys. Nunchakus were just kind of threaded, and it was internally threaded, so you'd have to unscrew the whole thing. This is kind of like a push, a slight twist, and then it opens right up. Actually, no threads involved in here, just kind of like little indents, and you just kind of match them up, push it in, twist, and it secures your tank. It's got a nice seal to it as well. Airflow design looks like we have 3 different slots, and just like any other tank, you just kind of slide. It doesn't look like it would actually move, so it's pretty sturdy. That's pretty nice. This is a good tank. Once we open up the base, right off the bat, I noticed the design and base is different. Normally the whole base comes off of this tank. It seems like this piece to the base is actually part of the chimney, and it doesn't seem to unscrew, so I'm curious as to how you would change your glass. Actually, you would kind of just push the glass up. Oh, there it is. I thought I was gonna break it. I was so worried. So on the airflow options, we have 3 different spaces here, and it just kind of slightly slides, but it does hold its place just for that small adjustment. And to unscrew the base, we're just gonna go ahead and twist. And this is a little different. Normally the bases on tanks, it's the whole base, and then if you had to replace the glass, you'd slide the glass down. But on the first looks here, it looks like this part of the base, it just divided the base in half. And then you'd reeled the actual coil, which is pretty interesting. There's a whole... Okay, so tried to pull out the coil. I figured maybe it'd be easy to just grab onto the bottom and pull that out there, and the pin just came flying right out. Don't pull on the coil because it wasn't that much fun getting the whole thing back in there. Not really sure why it opens up that way. I mean, the coil should be coming out like that. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I'm gonna grab onto the bottom here because I'm assuming that if you had to replace your coil, there we go. So when you take off that top fill cap, you can actually push here and take the glass right off if you did need to put the replacement glass on. Now my only thing left here is how does that coil come out, because I just pretty much almost broke it. There it is. So that's a beefy coil. I guess I was thinking maybe the coil was the inside. Figured that was like, you know, how it came out, but no, this whole freaking piece is the coil. So let's throw that right back in there. Hopefully this thing still works and I didn't break it, but let's put the glass back on. Let's screw the base back down. So let's take a closer look. Let's fill this tank, see how it vapes. The reviews on Reddit about it sound pretty good. Let's see what it's all about. All right, so we got the tank filled up. We're ready to go. It's at 50 watts because we want to burn the heck out of that coil. We got it thrown on the Drag Mini, by the way, that just dropped over at Good Guy Vapes. You know, go check it out. Check atomizer. Right off the bat, huh? We're doing this. So check atomizer is probably due to the fact that I ripped the pin out of the actual coil, messing with the negative and positive leads, and when I put it back together, it might be shorting or something might be wrong with it. So I'm gonna throw another coil in it. But one thing I noticed that's pretty cool is the fact that, like, I did have to drain the tank a little bit to take the juice out of the tank. I mean, you really only have to take out enough to go under this chimney, which isn't too bad. But what separates this tank from other tanks is the fact that I can pull this coil out right now to change it, and my hands aren't getting dirty because it's such a fat, big coil and a big base to the coil. So I actually think that's a pretty cool thing. Even though I broke the coil before I got to vape it, it is pretty cool that you can just change coils in and out, and as long as your juice is, you know, halfway or under in your tank, it shouldn't be a problem and it's not going to be a big mess. So that's a nice little plus. But we're going to go ahead and change the coil and get this thing working. All right, try number 2. We got another coil back in there, one that I didn't break. Just pull on it a couple times to make sure it's nice and wicked. I could see it's actually wicking. I think it's been in there for probably about 10 seconds now. It's a couple warning pulls before I actually vape on it. The coils do wick pretty quickly, which is really nice. There are older crown coils that I feel really took a while to actually wick, and I think just maybe the way they packed the cotton around the coil made a difference. This time these seem to be, I see little bubbles coming up from there, you know, quickly and frequently. So I know that coil is really saturating and picking up juice pretty quickly. So on 50 watts, these are good coils. Let's crank it up to 55 watts. These coils are good up to 70. These are the 0.4 ohm coils. Performance is awesome on these tanks. Flavor's there, even on a freshly wicked coil. I know if I would have cranked it a little higher, a little sooner, I probably would have burnt it out a little bit. So obviously, just like any other coil on the market, give it a second to wick. But now that it's starting to kick in with some heat, starting to pull in that juice, I'm getting full flavor. So the airflow is all the way open right now, and it's actually not too much. There's other tanks that they made, like the Valerian, that was made to vape at 90 to 100 watts, and that airflow all the way open was actually a little bit too much, so I did have to bring it back a little bit when I was vaping on that. This tank doesn't really have that problem. Airflow is all the way open, it's perfect, full flavor. We're gonna go ahead and compare this to the last tank they put out just before the Crown 4, which is the Nunchaku. I actually have a Nunchaku with me. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that on this device. I'm gonna put on 54 watts. This is the Nunchaku. Now compare side to side. That's how they match up. That's how they sit next to each other. It's a slightly taller tank. It also holds a lot more on the Crown 4 than the Nunchaku tank does. And these coils are made to go up to 70 watts as opposed to 55. Now with the Nunchaku, the reason why I said 54 watts is because if you bring it up to its max at 55, it does tend to choke and not keep up as well as these coils seem like they will. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this tank on this drag, and we're gonna see how that draw is actually different. A lot of times companies put out tanks and they seem to be not too different. So on 54 watts, so the draw is a little more airy. It's more like just wide open. I feel like the Nunchaku is really more focused on maybe the performance aspect of things. The Crown 4 is more focused on giving you the best of both worlds. They want you to get the cloud, but also they don't want you to lose the flavor. I think the design in the coil, the max wattage of the coil, everything about it is just an all-around improvement from their last product, which is really good to see a company doing. I'm gonna crank this up to, let's do 65 watts, because the max is 70. I think it outperforms it. I mean, the airflow is slightly tighter of a draw, but I think because of that, you get a full flavor from the coil, and I think I would enjoy this tank maybe a little better than the Nunchaku tank, and I've been rocking that since it came out, and I've loved it. Haven't used a single tank since, but I think we might have scored a new tank. This might be the new one. That's just an enjoyable vape. That coil really produces awesome flavor, and it was just wicked. Hopefully they last long. Obviously this video is not gonna be long enough for me to tell you if it lasts a week, but feel free to throw some comments down on the bottom. I'll let you know how this tank's performing. That is just a great vape. That is a great tank. It produces the right amount of flavor, perfect airflow. I love everything about it, easy filling. The coil design, it's a very big coil, but I think it's worth it. It allowed for that performance to really take place, a higher range in wattage, goes up to 70 watts. I'm using it on 65 right now, just wicked, and it's already producing great performance, great flavor, and great vapor production, which is awesome. So just to let you guys know, there are mesh coils coming out. Keep that in mind. The mesh coils are gonna allow for the tank to even produce more flavor, which is awesome. So you get to really enjoy the juice that you're buying, which is great. There's nothing better than a company that outputs a product that produces great vapor, but also keeps great flavor. That pretty much sums it up. If you guys wanna know how long those coils last me, feel free to go ahead and drop a comment in the bottom, depending on how long this video's been out. I'll comment back and let you know how the coils were and how long they've lasted until I had to switch out to a new coil. Don't forget guys, like, share, subscribe. We really appreciate the interaction on the page. And this has been the Uwell Crown 4. I really can't think of anything negative to say about it. I mean, it's an all around great tank, great design, great performance, great flavor. It's everything you would want in a tank. We'll see you guys for the next video. Thanks for stopping by.